everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and another episode of Collecting Smart. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the return of Comic-Cons. Only I didn't get to go to one, but I got three people joining me who all went to one this last weekend. Huntsville Con, I'm not sure exactly what the name of it is, but we got several people. But we also have a special guest who's going to hang out, who used to be a part of the show all the time, and he just happened to hop in here. What's going on, Matt?
Matt literally just popped in as you were speaking, didn't I?
I know. I was just like, I'll just bring you right in.
I'm doing so good, man. I jumped on my phone. I saw your reminder. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I ran over here and got on real quick, man.
No, I'm
super
glad
happy to be on.
Yeah, I'm glad you could come hang out with us tonight. So Matt used to be my co-host for Collecting Smart, and my current co-host, Big Will. What's going on, man?
I have arrived, and it is the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. That's the
There
name.
you go. I could not remember the name of it. So before we bring in our other two members of that, Big Will, how big typically was this before?
Well, it's only in its sixth or seventh year, so it's been getting larger and larger. And even though this was, pandemic version 2.0, because they did it last year, the guy that runs it said it's one of the best ones they've ever had.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's get our other two people in here that also went to Huntsville Comic Con and Pop Culture Expo. I think I'll get there right at some point. We got Southern Comic Geek. What's going on, Jason? You're on mute. You're on mute, Jason.
Well, I thought it was on mute because I was backstage, but now we can do it again. What's up, folks?
And then, the person people actually came to see when I put the name in the little thumbnail and stuff, we got Lady Fantastic joining us. What's going on, Carolyn?
Hey, I'm doing well. Ready to talk about books. Hey, Matt.
Books and cons. So I want to shout out the chat real quick, and then we're going to ask you guys, what it was like. I know this was Lady F's very first con ever.
Big Will, that's your cue.
Yeah, Big Will. He's not going to do it. Then Big Will had you been to every Huntsville con?
I started going their second year.
Second year? What about you, Jason? How many have you been?
Last year was the first year.
Okay, so you hadn't been to one pre-COVID, at least at this particular one.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. All right, let's see who all we had. We had Hoarder's Hide hanging out early, tailgating. What's going on? Dan, what's happening? The Unruly Simeon, what's going on, my friend? Always in the chat. Mars Comics, what's happening? Magic Lasso. Yes, I want to go to a con. I'm very jealous. I don't know about Matt, but I'm very jealous that they got to go. So I'm hoping August I might get to go to one. Big O, what's happening? Lady Fantastic's also hanging out in the chat. Luis, what's going on? Let's see who else is here. Mr. Gretzky, what is happening? The chat just jumped on me. Patrick Wall, thank you for joining us. Justin No Good, what's going on? Comic Noob, there's a bunch of people hanging out tonight. Yes, Lady Earth in the house, which means my channel just took 3 steps up from its normal, class. And so, what's going on, Kachung? What is happening? So, all right. So I guess the big thing is, I'm curious, biggest thing I have, Big Will, you've been to this beforehand. Spacing, vendors, people. How did it compare to before?
Before, as in last year, right?
And then before COVID.
Before COVID, the people, not as many in cosplay, not as many, period, so it seemed. But it also moved to a bigger location for the first time last year. So it was in a room of over 100-something thousand square feet. So as far as I know, there could have been 2,000 people in there at any given time, and I wouldn't have been able to tell because of how big the area is.
So they just went to a massive space.
Yeah, and as far as vendors go, a lot of vendors with different kind of things, a lot of comic vendors, but not near as much or as much of a bouquet, I'll say, as before COVID. But that'll probably change really easy. Plenty of vendors, though. The aisles were spaced out, not as much as last year, but they were extra spaced out. And, of course, everyone was wearing a mask and such, and there were hand sanitizer stations as you went in, and every now and then you would see one on the floor. And as far as the famous people and comic artists and writers, they had some great ones, in my opinion, and in Jason's opinion. I mean, Jim Shooter, woo! But not as many as before. And the quality is not quite as good as before, but that's mainly because they had a lot of people have to cancel due to restrictions where they're from as far as traveling, prior engagements, scheduling conflicts, and all that stuff too. But again, it was still great, and I can't wait for next year. They've already scheduled it. I'm definitely going to be buying a weekend pass. Maybe even a VIP this time, and it should be at least this big or bigger.
Nice. So, just out of here, you said they went to 100,000, and then you said there could have been 2,000 people. How many people attended this con? Do you have any idea beforehand? I realized it was still. You said it's only in year 6. So
I asked him last year, "Hey, is it doing good?" When I was standing in line for Chris Claremont with Jason, actually, we were together in line. And he said, "There's 2,000 people in this room right now, believe it or not. It's actually going pretty good." And when I asked him how it was going this year, he said it's the biggest one they've ever had.
Nice.
So there were probably 2,500 people at any given time,
okay, so that's,
especially on Saturday, in the room.
Yeah, so that's still on the small end of cons, but still that's a lot of people in a very big space, so that probably worked out pretty well. So it wasn't super crowded, I take it. What did you guys, Jason, and we'll start with Jason. What did you think of the space and the people and the crowds and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for cons that size or bigger, it was spaced out more than what you would have seen, pre-pandemic, obviously. But it was definitely way busier than what it was last year. I think there was just such a pent up demand for a Comic Con, and people are just so anxious to get out and get around some folks. I think that can be translated not only to the consumer, but to the sellers, also the celebrities / creators. I feel like they were anxious to get out in front of the fan base again and have that conversation like they were. So I think that's what was driving it. I went to lunch at 2:00, got back about 3:30, and there were still people buying tickets at that point. And the con closed what time? Saturday?
7.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, Lady F, first con. What was your impression of how they organized it? How the space was, the people, the crowds?
I definitely thought that it was busy, but I don't think that it was overly so. I didn't feel oppressed by people being packed onto me or anything.
No.
It was very busy, but people were respectful of one another's space for the most part. And I, as a science nerd, I definitely could feel the collective pheromones, and these pro-social feelings of a monkey being amongst other monkeys, being so happy about it.
Yeah.
And then I think because of that, everyone was very cordial and everyone was pretty patient. And, all of the vendors that I went to, they were nice. They worked with me. Nobody was a jerk. I mean, I think people were just desperate to get with other monkeys. We were just lonely monkeys. But everybody, there were a lot of people that were dressed up, a lot of people in really cool stuff. I saw a guy as Agent Venom. He was really cool. He had a really cool suit.
Nice.
Just all kind of a cap. There are all kinds of folks out there, but I really liked it. I had a positive experience. And just Shorty and I, it was a very abbreviated first con. We were 2.5 hours and then went back. But like,
you guys just did a quick tour. And
it was like laser focus. I was on a mission.
So would you go back next? Are you going to try and come back next year?
I would love to. I would love to.
COVID stuff.
So I would take more of a Southern approach, except I probably wouldn't have like a huge like valet groom from a hotel like pushing like Southern. He could like lug dead bodies in, except he had comic stuff in it. Because he was, but it was smart, honestly. If you want to get stuff, and if you're a collector like Southern is, and you have a plan for, I want these certain things signed, but I definitely think that I would probably take an approach like that, to where I would come up and I would stay like a weekend or something, so then I could take my time, have packing or whatever if I planned. But I also set myself to a budget, and I said I'm not going over this.
You have to set a contract.
Yeah, I'm saying
you have to.
I said I'm taking X amount of money, and good job for you, Caroline. You earned it, and then that was that. Like, it was just done. Because if I don't have self-control, I just don't. So you have to like, implement self-control.
Yeah, that's why I have X amount of cash, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Yes.
That's why on Friday I purposefully put almost half my money in the glove box, and it's like, I can't get to you today, so you're going to be saved for the next one.
Yeah. I've been on a budget austerity plan.
Matt, you got a question for these guys? You've been quiet so far. We got to get you involved in this.
Yeah, so first of all, I wish I could have gone to that con. I saw a bunch of pictures on Instagram, and it just got me so excited for everybody. So,
no.
My question is, how many of you guys met up? How many people from the community did y'all see?
I have the shortest list, sadly. I missed most everybody.
No.
But I ran into the two brothers. I ran into Southern, and I ran into Comics and Death Metal.
Awesome.
And I walked past Comic Fu. He didn't know who I was.
Ouch. Comic Fu.
So
Nice. That's cool.
You guys?
I saw Southern, and I saw Comic Fu, and I saw Two Brothers, and I saw Flash by Night, and I heard of a big wheel spotting. Shorty said she saw Big Will, but she didn't say anything because she said that he had other people around him and they were like talking to him and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay.
Famous Amos.
I know.
He had a crowd. He had an entourage.
His people were his entourage, apparently.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, don't pay attention to that. It's just my own gravity that I have. That just can't help it.
But yeah, so that was one of the things with this con, trying to set up, going to lunch or going to dinner with somebody, because I felt like that would be the coolest part of the con. What Lady was talking about earlier about monkeys hanging with other monkeys. We monkey around on YouTube and talk and chit chat and all that kind of stuff, just getting out. So Friday night, Comics and Death Metal, Ryan, Two Brothers and I went to eat, and then Comic Fu and I went and ate. And we were an hour and a half, and we were just sitting there running our, flapping our gums. It wasn't, we had done finished with food, but we were just running our mouths. And so I dropped him back off at the hotel. I said, I'm going to go back in and make one more lap. And then I run into Flash by Night and Two Brothers again. So I was there for another 2 hours before I left, driving 6 hours back home. So
I popped in on Two Bros. They were doing some live streaming. And they were kind of walking around talking about everything and stuff. It was good to feel a part of it for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if this is going to be one of the questions or not. Pricing for cons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what and anybody that feels differently, feel free to chime in. But what I saw and what I experienced with the people, Jeremy's booth was the biggest one. Jeremy being the guy that heads this up, and his booth's the biggest one. His probably had the biggest selection wise as far as dollar bin books and price books. Very friendly. His brother's name is Jason, so that probably has something to do with it. But anyways, but some of the vendors were like, and they just told me straight up. They said, "Hey, look, this book, if I don't sell it, I'm fine with not selling it."
Wow.
And whereas used to, you could go and say, "Hey, look, I'm fixed to buy 4 or 5 books. Let's make a package deal." They were less inclined to do that outside of Jeremy's booth. Less inclined to do that. I know Big Will and I talked about this, but we saw vendors that walked away from deals. And the books, of course, this is not just at the con. This is overall, but the books were a lot more expensive than what they used to be. I mean, a TMNT #1, 2.5. How much did they sell that for, Big Will?
The guy who had it for sale didn't actually want to sell it, so he put $9,000 on a 2.5 first print TMNT 1 signed by Eastman, and some dude paid for it all $9,000 in cash.
Just made that book unattainable.
I know somebody in here, if he's still in here, that paid, I believe, less than that for his one he bought a year ago.
But
that's an 8.0 or
yeah. But I can second that. I mean, it was harder. It was harder to do the wheeling and dealing and getting great prices unless you were dealing with like the lesser value books.
So,
but it was still, you could still do it. You just had to work a little harder. But most of the books were priced at top end or overpriced for the respective grade,
which is
because of the market. It's going crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
I mean, cons typically they tend to start stuff a little high. Like generally, I feel like just my experience. Lady F had to drop out, but like hopefully, I don't know if she's coming back or not. She said she might not be able to stay the whole time, so
we'll find out.
And but so that to me that's not an unusual con experience. But I was curious. Oh, she is back. So there she is.
Sorry,
okay. So but I was curious to see how that would go. If vendors were like hard up to sell because they hadn't been able to go to cons, or if they've just all like transitioned everything to online and they're getting been getting stupid prices.
Well, can I tell you my version?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't really look for the higher end books that these guys do, because I think usually the way I end up doing is I end up getting bigger books from like doing trades and stuff or whatever. But like every booth that I went to, I found what you would call smaller books, but to me they're not smaller. To me they're $20 to $50 books,
Right.
Some, I mean, I would consider Defenders 10 $100, $120 book. But like everyone I went to, if I got like, $60 to $80 worth, I'd be like, can you do 50 to 70 or something?
Yeah.
Oh, we just lost her.
Just because she says something you don't like, don't mean you have to kick her out.
I swear, I didn't drop her.
Yeah, well, we'll let her finish when she gets back. But
I had to pay. But Carlito was asked.
There we go.
Go ahead, lady.
I'm sorry.
You're okay.
But all of them worked with me and were generally cordial. But I wasn't looking to drop 2.5. You know what I mean? So,
were you buying keys in those, or just like a bunch of like lower? I mean, what were
for me, yes, I was buying keys. Like I was buying Captain America's in like the 270s. Where you got a lot of like badass Zemo appearances, and they were like all $3 each. I bought that Defenders 10 for $25. I got a Jungle Action 11 and 17 for $20 each. I got 2 Captain Universes for the second appearance, I guess, of Captain Universe, the first appearance of the second Captain Universe. So Marvel Spotlight 9.
Yeah.
I found 2 of those, paid $6 for the 2.
Nice.
I mean, so I don't know. I guess it's relative, but like that is no Turtles 1. It is no Turtles 1.
Well, yeah, and so those books are big books to us as collectors. But for people that are just simply speccing, Those aren't big books yet.
Or they're
right?
stupid.
Well, disagree. So I think that they were really catering those prices to speculators or people that are new to the hobby, which is fine, especially like in Lady Fantastic's case, because she was able to walk away with some deals. One of the things Carlito was asking was because they had more time to price them. I walked up to the main booth and they were pulling books out. There we go again.
I don't know what's happening with that. She's having internet issues, I guess.
We were pulling books. They were pulling books out to reprice them right there in front of me. And I said, "You're repricing books?" And they go, "Yeah, this stuff changes from week to week." I said, "Yeah, that's okay." So I got ahead of him and started going through the dollar bins. And by doing that, I was able to come across a lot of good deals, which is one of the things that I missed from these cons is digging in those dollar bins and finding that gold. I found a Truth #1 that I paid 50 cents for, and I sold it for $50 the night I got to the hotel.
I remember you telling me that. You were so excited. It was awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of deals like that. And so they were there to be had. And, some of like King Shark, as an example, they had a fine copy of Superboy. What is it? First full appearance of King Shark.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fine copy. It was $100.
Yeah.
And
I had to pay the two big books that I bought. Well, big to me anyway. I had to pay full price for because they weren't budging. So what I did was I got other stuff with them and got discounted on the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I was able to see, like I said, you had to work harder, but you could still do deals. But yeah, because they weren't budging as much as they normally would. And to sort of the point that he said about the Superboy book, I saw almost every vendor had a West Coast Avengers 45, and they were trying to sell them and they were trying to trade them for $100 and up raw. And I didn't see a single copy on a wall of Silver Surfer 3. They're holding them as I would advise someone to do if they had a copy.
Yeah.
So that they know that stuff's going to crash, so they're trying to get rid of it and sell it now, and they're holding the stuff they know is going to be okay.
Is that the White Vision?
Yeah.
This was an example of a $20 book for $2.
Nice.
Thing and Deathlock, 2-in-1. They had some rad 2-in-1s, dude.
So,
But I'm just saying, I had a great.
like, I know Southern said that they were going through their dollar bins and repricing some stuff and that kind of stuff. Did you feel like that the wall books were the stuff that they were kind of higher on or less willing to move on, and then the stuff in the bins was more affordable, more agreeable, or do you think it was just everything?
So I feel like it did vary some from like person to person, like vendor to vendor, because some vendors had fire in bins that I would have made the assumption that they would have like for cheap, but then they would look it up and price it. And he's just like, "Oh, I haven't gotten around to pricing them." And I'm like, "Well, fuck you. I'm not going to buy it for $25.
That was perfect timing.
Oh, man.
That's the best one we've ever done.
So, hey, Big Will, you want to mention about the giant size X-Men that we saw there?
Oh, yeah. They were one booth was trying to sell a giant size X-Men PGX 0.5 with a facsimile cover for $1,200.
Oh, man. Come on.
I definitely saw some books that were really stupidly priced. I got some amazing deals, and I think what Southern says is true, is that you can find the really good deals in those dollar bins because there's just so much stuff they can't find everything.
Yeah,
they don't know everything they have, and there were some absurdly. But now I look and I saw there was the Spawn. I can't remember what number it is, but it had the Violator, the 340 homage.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I mean, what is that book at now? $150?
Yeah, it was what, 75?
It was 75 there. And the only reason I know is because Steven Spock really wants that book. So I've been keeping
an eye out for it.
There you go. That's
filling in for that.
Yeah, that book sold because Comic Fu was about to buy that book, and they sold it before he come back around to that. But I think that I mean, even in their price bins. I mean, for example, I bought a Web of Spider-Man 118 and 119, first and second appearance of Scarlet Spider, and I bought them for 10. I sold them for 30 today on Instagram. And if I had had 3 more copies, I could have sold it, just like that. So there were deals to be had, and it was fun, getting those deals, and then also picking up stuff for myself too. So overall.
I mean, it doesn't sound like, honestly, it doesn't sound that much different than a typical con. Just everything is higher because the market's gone crazy. Like
I found the best things that I did were when I was able to trade. There was a lot of great trading going on, especially me and my buddy Micah, who was with me. We both did some trading, and he did a major trade, and that's how we got some good books for not much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carlito was asking about what you got, Big Will, and I think we'll get to that in a minute. I did have a couple more things I wanted to talk about before we got there. So you guys talked a little bit about the space was pretty good, even though there was a bunch of people there. How did vendors try, how did it work if you were at a booth, you're digging through boxes? Were people on top of you? Did everybody give space? How did vendors try to make people give space? How did they handle that? I'm just curious, or did they even bother?
I had to say excuse me one time in 3 days. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of COVID regulations, they didn't do anything.
She said the bad word COVID, and
they didn't do anything. They didn't do it. But I was just more curious, not necessarily that they had regulations, but just how people handled because
it was spread out enough that
and there's a guy on top of you wanting to dig through the box you're in, and
that wouldn't.
My strategy
out pretty good.
No,
my strategy was this: I just didn't wear a mask. And then so people didn't want to get near me. And so I had full reign of everything. So
I didn't even notice that. You have a mask.
So how so Southern, you say you didn't wear a mask. How was the mask wearing? Did most people wear them or most people without? I realize we're in Alabama, so
Alabama's up there.
Here's the thing. With Alabama, the 9th was Friday, the first day of the convention. That is also the same day that Alabama ended its statewide mandate for having to do masks. But the convention still said you had to wear a mask. So when everyone went in the floor, they had a mask on. The only problem is we live in America and people are stupid. So they had their mask on, but their nose was hanging out, or they had on one of them chin diapers. And that was pretty much it. But for the most part, everyone had a mask. Were they wearing it or were they wearing it? Was the question. I had mine up here, and did it right. And it was hot, and I hated it. But some people like Southern just said, "Screw it," and I'll risk it.
I got stopped one time, and towards the end, and I put it on for her, and I walked off. I took it off. So I mean, the con itself, I understand their position because they're like, "Hey, and we want to make sure that we're not going to get sued because we just told everybody, no mask whatsoever." So they put it out there, but there was probably very few like me. Most of them that were not wearing a mask, it was because they had facial hair, and so it's probably problematic for them. But other than that,
I had a mask, and I felt comfortable in terms of being close to people because of my vaccination. And people were close, but I don't feel like anybody was rude. In terms of digging, I almost tripped over. I did trip over somebody, but that's because I'm aloof. And I said, I'm sorry.
Is that the mask you're wearing, Southern?
That's his mask.
Yeah, that's the mask I was thinking about being smart aleck and putting on, but I really have a new appreciation for cosplaying now because this thing is really hot and it's really heavy.
Yeah.
So you're saying you like it hot and heavy, huh?
Pause.
Sorry. Check out this.
Nice. So the other thing I was curious, like, what about like creators? How did they did any of you go get signatures or autographs? How they handled, like, were the creators all masked up? How did they space the lines? Did they just get in line? How did they handle that?
You need to ask Mr. Signature down there.
Mr. Signature?
I can't remember, was Shooter wearing a mask or not?
He was.
He was some of the time.
Yeah, because I think he seemed cool. I liked listening to him.
Yeah, for sure. As far as the spacing out, most of the creators went through their lines fairly fast. Jim Shooter probably had the longest line of the creators. JDF, or Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, had the longest line.
It was so dumb.
I'm like, this guy, he knows
I
how
don't even
to
care about
hype
that.
the masses.
Don't let Burke hear you say that.
He knows how to hype the masses. He is a good marketing guy, and he built up to that crescendo. But if the building could have been unlevel, it would have been unlevel on his side because of so many people over there.
Yeah.
But everybody else, there was markers on the floor for where people need to stand in line. So people pretty much adhere to that. Most of them had masks on, and the creators as well.
Yeah. I didn't feel uncomfortable because
Yeah.
I felt like everybody was pretty much being, respectful. Mm.
Yeah. Jim Shooter had a mask on when I went to sign, judging from the pictures he did when Southern was signing. Sunday, though, when it was near the end of the convention, he was talking to some dude. He just did his mask down on his chin to talk.
Yeah. But for my first convention, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the diversity, and like I did feel a collective high from just being a mammal with other mammals. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Like, how much you don't realize how much it's missing until like you have a year without it, and then you go to one of those things and you get this like endorphin rush just from being close to other humans.
Yeah. So last year when I got on the elevator to leave, she always times it perfectly. I don't know how.
I don't know how to do that. Yeah.
But when I got on the elevator, this guy had the first appearance of the Tick, and I saw it and I said, "Spoon!" And he started laughing. He said, "It's so refreshing to be around people that actually know, anything about any of these comics," right? So to Lady Fantastic's point, when you can actually say, "Oh man, I was looking for Defenders 10," and they go, "Oh, is that this one?" And they know what you're talking about, as opposed to looking at you with the weird eye, it's always refreshing.
Well, I did that for my Jungle Action 11 and 17, and it was a guy and his wife, and she's like, "I think we've got those," and like she went and looked and pulled them, and I was like, "You're my girl."
Is that the one from Nashville you're talking about?
I don't know, but they were a cool couple and they knocked off $10. So, I got my 2 Captain Universes, those 2 Jungle Actions, and maybe that Defenders. I can't even remember where I got the Defenders from.
Did y'all see Paul, Midwest Comic Man there? Do you guys know him?
I don't know him. I might have seen him. I don't know.
I didn't.
He hasn't been in the community for a little while. Let's see.
He used to be around a lot, but yeah, he doesn't do much now. But
yeah, Georgia comic book guy, Feel the Thrill Collectibles, Ohana Comics, they were all there too. Some of the
Flash by Night, he was there, and like they all had his whole family had Flash by Night shirts, so they could identify each other. It was cool.
You guys,
and I forgot. I met Loco for Comics too. He's on Instagram, on YouTube. He had a booth though. He was like a vendor there.
Is this the right con? I'm not sure if he was at the right place or not.
I can't tell. Make him big, JP. I'm not sure. I don't think that's the
I
real.
don't
That
look
does not look
familiar.
like it.
Is it maybe at a different con?
I think it's a different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Is that one?
yeah, was it the spinner rack, Lady Fantastic? They had the center thing. It was a square of long boxes on a table.
Yes, I
That
recognize
was a spinner
that.
rack. They're from Tony, Alabama.
Okay, cool. And it's a couple?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
They gave me some good deals, and they were just like, I don't know. They were just real nice and like chatty.
You know what's funny is that first year I went, I brought some books to trade, and I had a PGX 8.0 Shazam #1 that I traded them, and they still haven't been able to sell it. That same book's still there with them on the wall.
Oh no.
Man.
It's what does he call it? The albatross across their neck.
Yeah. they ain't gonna trade with you no more.
Well, I don't have no PGX anymore, so
Yeah. So Matt, you got any other questions for these guys?
Your favorite pickup from the weekend, man, and lady.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see some of these pickups. What you guys got?
Already?
Let me go grab mine
Big
real
Will, I
quick.
know he was ready. He said he only had.
I
a
gotta
few.
go grab mine real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But you narrowing it down to favorite. I mean, and
Okay.
Matt can appreciate this. I mean, that's like saying, who's your favorite kid? When you got so many,
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's too
All
hard.
right. Here we go. Big Will. Oh,
Nice.
awesome book. It looks like a really nice copy, which is hard to get in that book.
yeah. This is one of those I had to pay full price for, and I got other stuff to make it cheaper.
Oh, it looks good
Yeah,
though.
this was my favorite one, but a running second for favorite would be this one right here.
There we go. Oh, newsstand.
In the newsstand. Very nice. Very nice. So-
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Lady F.
I ended up getting a lot of really great fillers for my Avengers run. They're not in the top 3, but like I got a 115 and a 124. The 115 was $3, the 124 was $5, and like a bunch in the early 200s, and or like a 169, a 179, a 199. And all of those were just a couple of bucks. And so when I go to my LCS, those are like $6 to $10. And so at $2 to $3 a pop, it really was awesome to work on my the runs that I do work on. Anyways, I have 3 big loves. That Defenders 10 that I got.
Nice.
Cover.
Great Thor cover.
Yes.
And, well, Hulk too, but Thor's on there.
Yeah. So I thought it was, it's just a great book. And then the other 2. So now I'm 1 book away from having the entire Jungle Action Black Panther run.
Oh, very nice.
But I picked up Jungle Action 11 and Jungle Action 17.
So which one are you missing then?
Issue 12.
Issue 12.
Is that the Killmonger?
No, I have Killmonger.
Okay.
Issue 12 is just a rinky dank. It's just a rando. I have 5 and 6, which are the 2 kind of big uns.
No.
All right, Southern, what was your favorite?
You got Southern. How many books did you actually get? Approximately.
A metric ton.
That's an exact measurement right there.
That's the exact measurement.
That's in science. We use it all the time.
There you go. Yeah, I got a long box and a half, and of course I had been shopping to the big shops like the Deep and so on while I was up
That's
there.
about 350 books.
But as far as if I'm going to narrow it down to the favorite, is going to be my sketch covers. So I got Michael Golden to do a Rogue sketch.
That
cover.
one was awesome, dude.
Oh, wow.
I saw
That one was expensive.
So
$2.
Though. Very nice.
$6.
So Rogue Michael Golden originally said, okay, this is going to be what, because I was doing a Wolverine 1 homage, right? So she's sitting there doing the finger.
Yeah.
And then she's holding her glove, her kind of fist over here, kind of like the Wolverine miniseries #1. So originally he told me a price, and so I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that, so on and so forth. And he said, well, we can scale it back for this much. I said, okay, great. Well, I stood there and talked to him for about 30 minutes, just talking about various things. And but when I went to walk off, he said, I'll work something in there for you with the hands. So he ended up doing what I asked him to do for the less price. But I think it was just because, we had that conversation and, that kind of thing.
You all connected.
That's nice, man.
So another fun thing was because back in the day, I was a He-Man fan, and I got Tom Cook
Fools
for Skeletor. Now, the interesting factoid was, he also worked on Thundar the Barbarian, and Jack Kirby was his hero. Did you know that Jack Kirby is the creator of Thundar the Barbarian?
I did not know that.
So the story behind it, and this is what Tom Cook shared with me, was that Jack Kirby felt like that Star Wars, Darth Vader had ripped off Darkseid. So he said, well, I'll just give it right back to you. And that's why Thundar has what is very similar to a lightsaber.
Interesting.
That's why his friend is very similar to Chewbacca.
Nice.
JP and I know what to call that. That's his fabulous sun sword.
So that's the reason behind that. And then also Rags Morales did this Eternal Warrior sketch cover for me.
That's cool.
Nice.
Again, you see the Wolverine homage there.
Yep.
And so yeah, those one of a kind pieces that they did, and of course I got Jim Shooter to sign 16 times. I was in Jim Shooter's line, and I was like the guy in the grocery store with 2 buggies and won't let the guy with one thing go ahead of him. Everybody's shoulders collectively slumped.
Like, not this guy.
I basically had a nerdgasm, as they call it. And
that's all right.
When I was talking to Jim Shooter, and I was like, dude, I collect all the Valiant, I collect Defiant and Broadway comics. And he, he's like, okay.
He looked at you and he was like,
it's like security.
It's because of him I did my Jim Shooter stuff on Sunday.
Well, and the interesting story to go along with Jim Shooter was, if you remember the Unity covers, there are 8, and Frank Miller did the first ones, and Walt Simonson did the second ones. So he was wanting to get Frank Miller to do them, and Frank Miller charged way more than he could afford to pay. So he convinced Frank, after telling him the story, to do it for $500 a book. And so when he came back wanting to do the next 8, he said, Frank, I need you again. He said, I'm not doing it again for you. Call Walt, talking about Walt Simonson. And so he calls Walt Simonson up and says, hey, Walt, would you do these books? He said, what did you pay Frank? He said, $500. He said, you pay me $500 and a nickel, and I'll do it. That way I can always say I was paid more than Frank Miller. And so, yeah, and it's fun stories like that, to be able to connect with the creators there. That's as memorable as anything.
Oh, yeah. Those are always the best. You get a few minutes with somebody, you can talk to them about stuff. So, all right, well, we're 45 minutes in. Unless Matt's got something else. I guess my only question I have remaining is, for any of us that are thinking about going to one, what were you guys take home? How different was it? What would you recommend people doing? Anything different than before? What was your take home on doing a con now that we're getting through COVID or in the post-COVID era here?
It depends on what the con is requiring of you. If they don't require anything special, the same rules apply as always. If they require you to wear a mask, just add on wear a mask.
Okay, so you felt it functioned basically the same?
Yeah. And I think that it's going to be more and more comfortable for people to do with more and more people getting vaccinated. And, adhere to the rules, be respectful and mindful of other people, and you'll have a good time. I feel
like that goes for before or after. And that's pretty much, people are
pandemic or no, just if you're mindful, then you're going to have a good time.
And I would like to add the same advice that we've always given applies now and forever. Remember to wear deodorant.
Oh, I thought you were going to say have your pet spayed or neutered. But
okay. Wash your hands frequently. There you go.
And I made connections with a lot of vendors too. I got their cards and stuff, and they were really nice, and so it was awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of those vendors were ones that I met in Kentucky when I went to GalaxyCon. And so they travel the circuit. So it is nice to be able to say, oh yeah, I remember you and remember what book, I bought from you and be able to connect with them that way. And if you do that, more likely you're going to get a deal, right?
Yep.
If they know you're a repeat customer.
Yeah. They were like, just hit me up on my email. Let me know what you want. I can hook you up. And I was like, all right.
I like going back to vendors I've been to before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unless you traded them a PGX, then not so much.
then they're like, no, we're not doing anything with you.
Well,
okay.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, that was Big Will said you were there, and I was like, oh, well, we'll get a third person that was at the con, so that went to hop on with us. So I want to thank you guys for doing this the next day.
You want to see the rest of what I got?
Yeah.
What else you got?
Show us what you're working with. Carol, 227.
Yes.
Nice.
She's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Love that cover.
Yeah.
Need that one.
Cool. What the hell? I got that one. When you saw that, I found that one too. That one's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I want to find the other one, the girl that loves the swastika one. Yeah, shoot her to sign this one.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And got him to sign this one.
Awesome.
Yes, I did get one Wolverine book at least.
I was gonna say, like,
that's number 2, right?
You came out of a comic.
Yeah, that is number 2, and of course I also got this one.
Nice.
You gonna get Zach and BD to sign that Secret Wars? Ooh, nice one.
Newsstand.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. Well, if they come to the convention, yeah.
So Big Will, Beatty is going to be at the Jackson Comic Con.
I cannot go to anything else this year. I am looking for next year though.
Well, are you trying to save money?
Well, it's just that I don't know what's still going to be happening. Yeah.
Panther.
And everything, so.
Dang, you did get a pretty good haul there, Big Will.
Yeah, you got some good stuff.
I have an FF53, but it's not nearly as nice as that one. That one's in nice shape too, bro. Dang, Big Will. Got some fire.
Oh, number 2, newsstand.
Did you guys see Barbarian Kung Fu's post with his Thundercats on IG?
Huh.
He has a newsstand double cover of Thundercats.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
I have 3 more books. 2 were Lois Lane's. They were for the PC. And 1 was a Superman Adventures slab. Nothing really special about it. They were just PC stuff. I got Shooter to sign my comic folio too, my Valiant folio.
Oh, cool, man. That's cool.
So, Dave asked a question, which is an interesting one. Do you think? What do you guys think? The virtual cons. You think once these start coming back, are those just going to disappear, or will that?
I think virtual cons suck balls.
I don't have
that. I don't.
That's how you really feel, Big Will.
It's a waste of time.
Lady F's just going to hang in the audience and say, thank you for joining us Lady F, we appreciate it. I'm sorry you were having internet issues or computer issues, but appreciate you hanging out with us for as long as you did. We're about to wrap this up anyway. You guys had anything else you want to talk about this thing before we get out of here that you haven't got to talk about yet, Jason?
Well, one of the things that I was worried about was, and I felt like there was pent-up demand for a con, but would people return to some sense of normalcy by going back to a con, paying for tickets, paying for hotels, when they've kind of already, after this last year, gotten used to saying eBay, YouTube sales, because, everybody's got a YouTube auction, right? So, or have they gotten used to doing all that? Will they return to the con scene? And I feel like Huntsville can kind of answer that for us, that they're coming back to the con scene, because I don't know if I'd use the same adjectives that Big Will did, but I don't like the idea of the virtual thing either. I really don't even like the CGC in-house signings because that takes half the fun out of it. But
don't get the meeting.
So I think that there's still a lot of demand out there, and does that subtract from there, from the virtual con, and does it eventually go away? I don't know. Maybe it becomes a separate little venue.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know that the virtual thing will go away, but it's definitely going to fill a different niche. I think it's going to be more of a, to me, I can see the virtual con like taking the place of a lot of panels like that you get at other cons. And like, if you're a big panel person, I can feel that, but you're not going to like, the actual interaction is what a lot of people go to for cons, and that you can't replicate with a virtual con.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned panel. That's a good point, because I am bad about forgetting about panels I want to go to, because I'm digging through books, and getting all excited about that. I actually went to Tom Cook's panel where he talked about animation and He-Man and all that kind of stuff. They were back to your earlier question as far as being spaced out. The chairs were not side by side. Right. They had them very well spaced out, even with people sitting down, which is typically when people unmask and don't mind being in close quarters. But in the panel room was huge, and it was very well spaced out also.
Yeah. And I'm going to be using the private signings to get Elizabeth Olsen to sign this Scarlet Witch Virgin cover. But that's because I'm probably never going to actually be able to meet her. Yeah. But the thing I love about the conventions is being able to go and ask Jim Shooter a question, shake his hand, or seeing a celebrity and getting their autograph. I saw him on TV, and just being able to say, hey, that you can't do. It's not the same in a virtual con.
No.
It's just if someone's homebound or something, or that's the only thing we can do, I understand the internet's there if you have to use it, but no, don't worry. As soon as people are vaccinated and they have a con and say, hey, we're actually doing this, people are going to go, because we that's what we like.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, fellas, you guys got anything coming up that you want to talk about before we get out of here? Big Will, you're in the top corner now, so you got anything?
Yeah, but you still have the power. I'm gonna do something this week.
Okay.
I'll probably do a video talking about all the books that I got and everything, what I plan to do with them. I don't have anything scheduled at the moment, though. But yeah, I've got some things I'll be doing. My Bible reading stuff I wasn't able to release on Sunday, and I think I'm going to hold off until I can figure out how to put them all in one video, because I don't think people like it, me releasing like 6 videos that are 3 minutes long of just me reading, because I don't put out enough content to mask that for comic books, but I am a comic book channel. So I think that's confusing people, so I got to figure out how to put them together.
There you go. Southern, what you got going on, man?
So going to have mail calls throughout the week, including on New Comic Book Day. I've already got a new stack that came in today. Dropped a video earlier today. Actually, 2 videos earlier today. Got the auction coming back. Took a hiatus for 3 weeks, and so it's coming back Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, the Saturday morning cartoon crew, and be selling a lot of the books that I picked up at this con. So there's the segue.
Heroes Con 2022.
There you go. Matt, what's going on, man?
Oh, that was too good. It's awesome to hang out with you guys. Monkeys need to be with monkeys, right? So this is my and I've been trying to make a video about some upgrades that I've been doing in my collection.
I've been watching those on Instagram. It's impressive, some of the upgrades you've made recently.
Let's see if I can, find time to make a video and edit it. You know what I'm saying? So, but thank you, bro. Yeah, I've been lucky to be able to sell some books, and because I'm able to spend a little extra cash to get some, white pages or a little higher. So
Nice.
I got 2 books left in the collection without white pages. I'm almost there.
Man, I almost sold a book for you at the convention. A guy was looking for one, but then you had already sold it. So I was like, oh, well, but he wanted to see what it sold for. I showed him. He's like, So I almost had a sale for you.
Thanks, man.
All right. I got tomorrow night with Hialeah, Jimmy the Geek Aficionado, and Unruly Simeon. We're talking Reborn tomorrow night on my channel, and then I don't think I have anything till the weekend.
Snap!
Weekend stuff.
D&D will be this coming Sunday, my channel.
Yes. So we were moving from White Will's channel over to Big Will's channel for our D&D game, because Big Will is our new dungeon master extraordinaire. He's going to put us all through the steps and try to kill us all. So,
Cool, man.
So looking forward to that. With that, I don't have anything else. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I want to thank you guys for Big Will. This was Big Will's idea to do this con discussion. I hope you guys get something out of it. We had 36 people at one point in the chat, so that's awesome. So thanks everybody, and see you guys later.